20,000 sailors are stranded right now in 21 miles of water. Not by a storm, by a decision. Oil at $126 a barrel. Shipping through the Strait of Hormuz is down 90%. 40 nations are in emergency session. The most powerful navy in history cannot reopen it. This is not new. This exact crisis has repeated for 5,000 years, and no empire has ever solved it. Cargo ships drift in silent clusters, engines idling, navigation lights flickering across black water. Their crews scan the horizon, waiting for orders that never come. The Strait of Hormuz, just 21 miles wide at its narrowest, has become a vast holding pen. Automatic identification system maps show a grid of stalled vessels stretching from the shadow of Musandam's cliffs to the salt flats of Hormuz Island. Some captains have been anchored for days, rationing fresh water and fuel, forbidden to move forward or turn back. The world's tankers sit motionless, fully loaded, while oil futures spike in distant trading rooms. Within hours of the first closure order, global spot prices surge past $120 a barrel. Terminals in Europe and Asia scramble for replacement cargoes. Refineries run down their reserves, unsure when the next shipment will arrive. The ripple spreads beyond oil. Fertilizer shipments for spring planting are trapped at sea. LNG carriers, their cargoes slowly warming, face the threat of forced venting if delays drag on. Navies converge on the bottleneck. The U.S. Fifth Fleet deploys destroyers and surveillance drones along the Omani coast. British and French frigates hold station just outside the exclusion zone. Iranian patrol boats dart between the islands, their silhouettes barely visible against the evening haze. Overhead, reconnaissance satellites capture the standoff in real time. Each ship's position, each sudden maneuver, broadcast to command centers around the globe. Markets and ministries react with the same urgency. 40 governments call for emergency talks. Insurance rates for Gulf shipping triple overnight. The Strait, a narrow line on the map, now holds the world's energy supply hostage. Every hour that passes raises the cost, not just in dollars, but in the certainty that the world's trade can be stopped by a single decision in a place most have never seen. 21 miles. That is all the world gets. The Strait of Hormuz, at its tightest, measures just 33 kilometers from shore to shore, less than the distance between two city centers. Yet within this narrow corridor, two shipping lanes, each barely 2 miles wide, must carry the lifeblood of global industry. There is no room for error. A fully loaded tanker, longer than 3 football fields, cannot turn or reverse course without risking collision. The geometry is fixed. The stakes are not. Every day, nearly 20 million barrels of oil, 1/5 of the world's supply, move through these lanes. 1 in every 6 seaborne shipments of liquefied natural gas follows the same path. The numbers are relentless. Remove Hormuz from the map for a single week, and the world loses $45 billion. Oil prices leap. Freight rates double. Insurance premiums for tankers surge from $35 to over $100 per day as underwriters recalculate the risk of sailing through a zone where a single incident can halt the flow for everyone. Rerouting around Africa adds nearly 2 weeks to each journey, with a single, very large crude carrier burning an extra $1 million worth of fuel just to reach the same destination. The cost is not just measured in dollars. Fertilizer shipments stall, threatening harvests continents away. Petrochemical plants in Asia and Europe run down their reserves, forced to idle production lines. Gulf ports lose up to $2 billion in missed calls, pilotage, and bunkering fees in a matter of days. The world's dependence is not an abstraction. It is arithmetic. 20% of all oil and 6% of all liquefied natural gas are funneled through a space so tight that a minor delay ripples outward into billions in losses. The Strait of Hormuz is not just a line on the map. It is the world's most expensive bottleneck. If you find yourself calculating the odds, you are already too late. Subscribe for more stories that reveal the hidden logic behind global power, and let us know in the comments how you think the world should respond to to a choke point that cannot be widened, only endured. On Hormuz Island, the earth itself bleeds color. Strata of red ochre, purple, and black twist along the cliffs, the work of a 600-million-year-old salt dome pressing upward through stone. Women gather in shaded courtyards to grind the red mineral into spice, their hands stained by the same pigment that once colored the stones of a Portuguese fortress. Here, a craftswoman's day is measured in shades, 70 distinct hues, each one a reminder that beauty and survival are inseparable on this island of 3,000. Across the water, Kashem stretches nearly 100 miles, its heart hollowed by the Namaktan cave. A local guide leads visitors through 3.6 kilometers of winding tunnels, where salt crystals hang from the ceiling like glass chandeliers. The air is cool and heavy with minerals. In these depths, time feels suspended, yet above, 148,000 people go about their lives, the island's vastness hiding both secrets and watchful eyes. Hengam is smaller, quieter, a fishing island where the shoreline sometimes glows electric blue after dusk. For a few months each summer, bioluminescent dinoflagellates set the waves alight. A fisher rows out before dawn, remembering nights when the sea seemed to pulse with its own silent language. The Straits Islands are more than coordinates. They are lived landscapes, where geology shapes the daily rhythm and every moment of wonder carries the weight of strategy. Strategy in the Strait of Hormuz is not a contest of who owns the water or the land. It is a contest of geometry. The corridor is so narrow, so exposed, that the very idea of control becomes an illusion. Oil flows, ships pass, and navies gather, but none of them can change the shape of the passage. A single credible threat, one missile battery, one hidden mine, can freeze the world's trade in place. It does not take a blockade. It does not take a war. All it takes is the knowledge that at any moment, the lanes can be closed. This is why every empire, from ancient Persia to the modern superpowers, has found itself negotiating with the strait itself, not just with its rivals. The power here is not measured by the number of ships or the size of armies, but by the ability to make passage uncertain. The geometry hands leverage to whoever can threaten, not necessarily to whoever claims to rule. Subscribe for more stories that reveal the logic beneath global power, and share your thoughts below. Does owning a choke point matter if you cannot guarantee its safety? The strait does not care who controls it. It has watched every empire arrive with certainty and leave having learned the same lesson. Control in the Strait of Hormuz is an illusion built on numbers and physics. The 2-mile shipping lanes run so close to the shore that a missile battery placed inland can reach the center of the channel in less than 90 seconds. Modern anti-ship missiles, with a range exceeding 60 miles, cover every inch of the strait's navigable water. From the Iranian coastline, a Noor or Qatar missile can cross the entire corridor before a tanker has time to maneuver or a warship can react. The cost to launch one is measured in hundreds of thousands of dollars. The cost to defend against it, including carrier groups, destroyers, and constant surveillance, runs into billions each month. This is not a contest of equals. The geometry favors the defender, not the fleet. Every ship passing through is exposed for miles, its route fixed by the narrow lanes, its options limited by the hard edges of the land. The reaction window for any naval escort is counted in seconds, not minutes. To clear the threat entirely would require suppressing every launch site along a coastline and across islands, a task no power has managed or afforded. The strait's design ensures that even the mere threat of attack can halt the world's energy flow. Here, the cost of threatening is always less than the cost of guaranteeing safety. The strait does not bend to force, it bends to geometry. For 5,000 years, the same narrow corridor has drawn the ambitions of empire after empire, each convinced it could solve the puzzle of Hormuz. In the 6th century BC, Achaemenid Persia imposed tolls on passing ships, transforming the strait into a treasury for royal coffers. A millennium and a half later, Portuguese fleets under Afonso de Albuquerque anchored off Hormuz Island, raising a red stone fortress in 1507 and commanding a levy on every cargo that passed. The British arrived in the 19th century, establishing a Gulf squadron and a naval outpost on Hengam, their patrol logs filled with the names of merchant convoys threading the strait. By the late 20th century, the United States stationed the Fifth Fleet in Bahrain, carrier groups and destroyers poised to guarantee the freedom of navigation. Yet the geometry remained unchanged. In February 2026, a coordinated missile drill by Iran closed the lanes for 4 days. 40 nations scrambled for a solution. Oil prices soared. The lesson repeated. Power here is temporary, and the strait's shape endures. The strait does not care who controls it. It has watched every empire arrive with certainty and leave having learned the same lesson. A tanker captain, his ship anchored off Musandam, calculates the cost of waiting. Each day the strait remains closed. 20,000 sailors drift in enforced limbo. Crews ration water, engines idle, schedules unravel. The alternative is a 15-day detour around Africa, burning an extra $2 million in fuel and insurance for every vessel. For some, the only way through is to pay a $2 million toll, echoing the ancient tributes once demanded by Persian kings and Portuguese governors. Fertilizer shipments miss their planting windows, threatening harvests from India to West Africa. Petrochemical plants in Europe and Asia idle as feedstock dries up. The impact ripples outward. Manufacturing lines halt. Shipping contracts default. Food prices climb. The geometry of the strait, just 21 miles wide, translates into billions lost, not by accident, but by design. No navy, no treaty, no global summit can widen the passage or erase its leverage. The world is reminded, once again, that a narrow channel can dictate the fate of continents. Today, 1/5 of the world's oil still moves through this narrow corridor. One missile, one blockade, and global markets tremble. The geometry resists every solution. The strait does not care who controls it. It has watched every empire arrive with certainty and leave having learned the same lesson. Share your thoughts below.